Government approves allocation for temporary embankment. Over 5,000 development projects implemented this year. Salam Malaysia Madani, I'm SAHIH and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. An immediate allocation of 6 million ringgit has been approved to construct a temporary embankment, including the spillway structure for the Sungai Golo Integrated River Basin Development Project PLSB to solve the problem of stagnant floodwaters in Rantau Panjang. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that the temporary embankment needs to be constructed as soon as possible at 3 identified locations, with each location allocated 2 million ringgit. Yesterday, the media reported that part of the embankment of the Sungai Golo PLSB in Rantau Panjang broke early Tuesday, causing water from Sungai Lancang to flow rapidly towards Sungai Golo. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Anwar said that the Kelantan government has agreed to expedite the land acquisition process to enable the implementation of Phase 2 of the Sungai Golo PLSB project soon. He said an additional allocation of 800 million ringgit has also been approved to accelerate the implementation of the project, which is expected to commence early next year.
Kerajaan Persekutuan dan Kementerian Sumber Asli dan JPS boleh menyegerakan projek itu secepat mungkin. Mungkin awal tahun depan. Dia melibatkan sekitar 800 juta ringgit tambahan daripada projek yang telah diluluskan.
The Prime Minister was met after visiting flood evacuees at a temporary relief centre (PPS) at the Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Agama Lati in Pasir Mas. Earlier, he spent over 30 minutes inspecting the Lubuk Jong Bridge and received a briefing from the State Department of Irrigation and Drainage representative regarding the flood situation in Kelantan. The Sungai Golo PLSB project, implemented in the 3 phases, involves an allocation of over 2 billion ringgit and is expected to protect 31,000 residents and 66,000 hectares of land from flooding. Meanwhile, the Local Government Development Ministry, KPKT, will, through its agency, identify damage to the houses of flood victims before taking appropriate action. Its Deputy Minister, Dato' Aiman Atira Sabu, said the ministry had certain procedures that needed to be met before any form of aid can be given.
Kita akan dapatkan maklumat keseluruhannya dan barulah pihak KPKT akan mengambil tindakan yang sewajarnya. Prosesnya tetap masih sama. Hari ini Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri telah pun turun untuk meninjau dan perkara itu akan memudahkan lagi segala urusan kita dalam memberikan bantuan kepada mangsa-mangsa banjir, insya-Allah.
Meanwhile, Aiman Atira said 495 RAID team personnel from the Fire and Rescue Department are ready for their assignment to assist victims of the northeast monsoon in Peninsular Malaysia. On a related note, Alliance Bank Malaysia Berhad has offered a flood relief assistance program to help ease financial burdens faced by customers and businesses impacted by the recent floods in several states nationwide. This would include options of a loan moratorium of up to 6 months, loan repayment modifications and waivers of fees and charges for all conventional loans and Islamic financing facilities. Additionally, it said fees and charges for selected services such as replacements of debit cards, ATM cards, checkbooks and passbooks, loss or damage during the flood would be waived. The bank said it was also providing assistance to its employees affected by the flood to get through this trying time. The flood relief assistance is available for application with immediate effect until 26 January. Affected customers may contact the bank contact centre or their relationship managers directly to discuss the relief package that meets their needs. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli has denied allegations from Voices of Dissent, claiming that the development of the government's central database hub, PADU, is a waste as it involves contracts worth hundreds of millions of ringgit. Rafizi said PADU was fully developed by civil servants from 3 agencies, namely Ministry of Economy, Department of Statistics Malaysia and the Malaysian Administrative Modernisation and Management Planning Unit, MAMPU. In a post on his Facebook page, Rafizi said civil servants developed the system using existing allocations and infrastructure without the need to open new tenders to private entities, thus not incurring additional expenses, as is often the case whenever a new system is introduced to the government. He said Padu was developed within 7 months and would not involve annual payments to private system providers because it belongs to the government. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is scheduled to launch Padu on 2nd January 2024. The system will be open for 3 months for Malaysian citizens to verify and update their socio-economic data. According to him, Padu involves the development of the largest data system ever made by the public sector and possibly the largest in the country's history, involving details for each of the 32 million Malaysians, forming hundreds of millions of data points. An accounts clerk has pleaded not guilty at the Georgetown Sessions Court today to 133 counts of criminal breach of trust (CBT) involving 445,815 ringgit belonging to a company between 2019 and 2021. Teh Hia Ling, 41, who was working as an accounts clerk for a gold and jewellery assaying company, allegedly committed the offences by transferring the company's money between October 2019 and May 2021. All the offences were committed in the company premises at Jalan Sungai, Timur Laut District. Teh was charged under Section 408 of the Penal Code, which carries a maximum jail term of 14 years, whipping and a fine upon conviction. Presiding Judge Sharmila Abdul Samad set bail of 66,500 ringgit in one surety for all charges and ordered the accused to surrender her passport to the court until the disposal of the case. The court fixed 9 February for the mention and submission of documents to the court. Several roads will be closed in and around Bandar Melaka, and traffic diversions will also be enforced in conjunction with the ushering of the New Year and Visit Melaka Year 2024 TMM 2024 celebrations starting tomorrow. Melaka Tengah ACP Christopher Partit said the road closure will begin at 6 a.m. on 29 December and ends at 7 a.m. on 1st January 2024. The roads involved in the closure are Jalan Tun Mutahir, Jalan Hang Tuah from Bangunan Maybank to the traffic light junction at Pengkalan Rama. In a statement today, he said the traffic lights junction at Jalan Tun Ali can still be used and traffic flow will be directed to Jalan Tun Mamat, Jalan Graha Maju and Jambatan Jalan Persisiran Bunga Raya, The Shore. Christopher added that visitors can park their cars at the open car park between Medan Selera Tun Ali throughout Jalan Graha Maju and Jalan Tun Mamat and other nearby areas. He added that visitors can also use the free bus service Panorama that will be made available at Jalan Lagenda from 6 p.m. on 31st December to 1 a.m. on 1st January 2024. Police will deploy 207 personnel throughout the program to ensure safety and smooth traffic flow. He advised members of the public to plan their entry and exit early to ensure they reach their destination without any obstacles. They are also advised to use alternative roads to avoid traffic congestion. Pulau Pinang remains top exporter for November 2023. A total of 5,196 development projects for the people have been implemented by the Local Government Development Ministry (KPKT) this year, with an allocation of 700 million ringgit. Minister Nga Kon Meng said the number of projects implemented nationwide was the highest in the ministry's history and comprised 4 main components, namely socio-economics, public facilities, security and infrastructure. For 2024, Nga said KPKT will continue to consider new projects by conducting studies based on return on investment, cost-benefit analysis, credibility reliability index and feasibility studies.
We don't want any white elephant project in future. Mana-mana yang dibuat, kita akan pastikan dengan kerjasama erat dengan PBT. Maintenance cost shall be included in the annual budget of the local government.
The minister was met after a working visit to the Sri Kembangan Pasar Bazar Rakyat. In the meantime, KPKT has set a target of 5,000 projects per year and is confident that the Madani government will be able to implement 50,000 development projects for the people if it's given the opportunity to govern the country for 10 years. Pulau Pinang has remained the top exporter for November 2023 in the country despite recording a decrease in exports amounting to 5.4 billion ringgit. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, other states that recorded lower exports were Selangor, 2.4 billion ringgit, Sarawak, 1.6 billion ringgit, and Terengganu, 869.1 million ringgit. Conversely, exports grew in Johor by 3 billion ringgit, Kedah 929.2 million ringgit, and Perak 540.8 million ringgit. Meanwhile, looking at the performance of imports by state, the department said imports grew 1.8 billion ringgit as compared to the same month in 2022. Selangor continued to dominate Malaysia's imports with a share of 26.5%, followed by Johor 20.6%, Pulau Pinang 20.4%, Kuala Lumpur 9.4% and Kedah 5.6%. The prospect of a stronger gross domestic product GDP growth, together with a firmer ringgit and more foreign investments coming into Malaysia, will likely push the FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI, FBM KLCI to the 1,700 level next year. Inter-Pacific Asset Management Sdn Bhd Chief Economist and Fund Manager Dato Dr. Nazri Khan said, and given the reduction in market volatility, corporate earnings growth is also expected to improve as investors' confidence and sentiment have strengthened in the second half of 2023. Speaking to Bernama, he said sectors that are expected to benefit most next year are banking, plantation and property, as well as technology under the digital economy. On GDP growth, he said it is expected to hit around 4.5% next year, mainly driven by recovery in global trade and foreign investments. Elaborating on the ringgit, he said the local currency is anticipated to strengthen to about 4.3 to 4.4 against the US dollar by the end of next year, supported by the cutting of interest rates by the US and therefore would continue to favour Malaysia's foreign investment flows. This will be the biggest catalyst in improving sentiment for the nation and supporting the local equity market to rise to around 1,700 next year. Wentel Engineering Holdings Berhad has inked an underwriting agreement with TA Securities Holding Berhad for the company's initial public offering IPO on the ACE market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. In a statement today, the company said the IPO entailed an offering of 273.2 million new ordinary shares and an offer for sale of 46 million existing ordinary shares. The statement said, of the 273.2 million public issue shares, 57.5 million of public issue shares will be made available to Malaysian public via balloting and 33 million public issue shares to eligible directors, employees and persons who have contributed to the success of Wentel Engineering and its subsidiaries. According to the agreement, TA Securities would underwrite 57.5 million public issue shares, namely the portion made available to the Malaysian public via balloting. Wentel Engineering Executive Director Wong Chung Wei said the IPO would provide funding for the company's expansion and enable the public to participate in its future growth. Saudi Aramco, one of the world's largest integrated energy and chemicals companies, is looking at expanding its downstream activities in Malaysia as it aims to make Pengerang Integrated Complex PIC in Johor the largest hub in Southeast Asia. Aramco President Downstream Muhammad Y. Al-Khatani said the company is excited about the Pengerang project and looking forward to not only sustaining the operation but also its potential expansion in the future. Asked if the 90-year-old company was looking at retail operations in Southeast Asia, Mohammed said that is something that Aramco is currently doing globally. He said this in a recent interview with Bernama and selected media outlets from China, South Korea and Japan at Aramco's headquarters. On the PIC, which is jointly developed with Petronas, Mohammed noted that the facility is running at its full potential, improving reliability and profitability and securing the right platform for growth in the future. During his visit to Riyadh last October, Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim said that Aramco is committed to expanding its Pengerang facilities by adding petrochemical and gas downstream activities for it to become the largest hub in Southeast Asia. Aramco had teamed up with Petronas to set up the Pengerang Refining Company Sdn Bhd and Pengerang Petrochemical Company Sdn Bhd in Pengerang, Johor, with an investment of $7 billion in the joint venture. Oil prices increased on Thursday over escalating tensions in West Asia and expectations of the US Federal Reserve interest rate reductions in March. The international benchmark crude Brent traded at $79.65 per barrel at 0752 GMT, a 0.14% increase from the closing price of $79.54 a barrel in the previous trading sessions on Wednesday. The American benchmark West Texas Intermediate WTI traded at the same time at $74.14 per barrel, up 0.04% from Wednesday's close of $74.11 per barrel. Both benchmark eased during the previous trading session as some global shipping companies, including Danish Maersk, announced plans to restart shipping operations along the Red Sea after trade has halted due to recent attacks by the Yemeni Houthi on seafaring vessels in the Red Sea. The French CMA CGM shipping company said it was working on plans to gradually increase the number of sailings through the Red Sea. Predictions of the Fed's approach to its two-year fight against inflation with the likelihood of interest rate reductions are also supporting higher prices. According to analysts, macroeconomic data set to be released in the US later on Thursday will offer investors indicators about the economy's direction. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) has helped to boost foreign direct investment (FDI) into the country, with Malaysia's cumulative FDI rising to 914.9 billion ringgit at the end of the third quarter of 2023. According to the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry, MITI, FDI from Japan increased by 4 billion ringgit, while that from Australia rose by 1 billion ringgit in comparison to 2022. Japan and Australia are both members of the CPTPP. In a statement today, MITI said the largest recipient of the overall FDI is the services sector with 50%, followed by manufacturing 42%. Based on data collated by the Malaysian Investment Development Authority (MIDA), 181 new projects valued at $2.94 billion with almost 11,000 potential employment opportunities were recorded from CPTPP countries between January and September 2023. Still ahead, take fog disrupts life in northern India. Thick fog continued to grip cities in northern India early on Thursday, hindering morning commutes and disrupting travel plans. Traffic was seen navigating barely visible roads in Gorakhpur and Srinagar, while the India Gate War Memorial in capital New Delhi was almost completely shrouded by fog around dawn. At least 8 persons were killed and 30 others injured in separate road accidents in various parts of Uttar Pradesh due to a heavy fog, considerably dipping visibility on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. In Delhi, the maximum temperature settled 3 notches above the season's average at 23.8 degrees Celsius, while the air quality continued to remain in the very poor category. The city witnessed dense fog early morning, which led to disruption in flight and train services. A train passenger in New Delhi said he had arrived 2 hours late due to the fog, as other commuters sat huddled in blankets outside the station. In an update on social media platform X on Thursday afternoon, the India Meteorological Department said dense fog was likely to persist over parts of northwest and central India over the next 3 days. According to India Meteorological Department, dense to very dense fog is likely to engulf the national capital at night and early morning on Thursday and Friday. The flood situation in southern Thailand is exhibiting signs of recovery as flood waters continue to recede, narrowing the affected area from 5 provinces to 3, Narathiwat, Yala and Pattani. However, the number of affected households continues to climb, reaching nearly 100,000 in the 3 provinces. Director General of the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation (DDPM), Chaiwat Juntirapong, said that 93,220 households in 25 districts across Narathiwat, Yala and Pattani have been affected by the floods. Naratiwat was the worst hit, with 62,613 households in 13 districts experiencing floods. Yala, 15,457 households, and Patani, 15,150 households were also impacted. He said the floodwaters have receded in all areas. Chaiwat added that DDPM is coordinating with local governments and relevant agencies to prioritise relief efforts, including cleanup and repairing damaged infrastructure for affected villages. Meanwhile, satellite images showed over 14,000 hectares of land in 5 southern provinces, namely Naratiwat, Yala, Patani, Songkhla and Satun, submerged by floodwaters, impacting more than 27,000 houses. Qatar national team prepare for title defence of Asian Cup. Stay with us. The Qatar national football team continued its training sessions in preparation for the upcoming Asian Cup hosted in Doha from 12 January to 10 February. The team is set to face the Cambodian team on New Year's Eve in Doha, followed by matches against Jordan on 5th January as part of their preparations for the 18th edition of the Continental Tournament. Under the guidance of Spanish coach Bartolomé Marquez Lopez, the team on Wednesday conducted its training focusing on tactical aspects, player duties and physical conditioning. The team's preparations are looking good, stress and emphasize the importance of utilizing the friendly matches to reach the necessary level of readiness before the Continental Tournament. The coaching staff meanwhile emphasized on focus and disciplined play, stating the team's aim to defend their title in the championship and replicate their achievement from the 2019 edition. Qatar, as a defending champion and tournament host, will commence the competition against Lebanon on 12th January, and the tournament structure will see the top 2 from each group, along with the 4 best third-place teams advancing to the knockout stage. Manchester City, on their return from the Club World Cup, came from behind to beat Everton 3-1 in the English Premier League on Wednesday and moved 5 points behind leaders Liverpool. City came into the match against Everton on a high after winning the Club World Cup last week, their 5th trophy in an extraordinary 2023. Pep Guardiola's men, chasing an unprecedented 4th consecutive English top-flight title, were in deep trouble when trailing 1-0 at Goodison Park, courtesy of a first-half strike from former City player Jack Harrison. But Phil Foden faced a short pass, Jordan Pickford, in the 53rd minute, and Julian Alvarez put the visitors ahead from the penalty spot. Bernardo Silva caped a brilliant second-half performance for the champions, taking advantage of an error from Pickford in the closing minutes to lift the ball over the Everton goalkeeper. City, who had won just one of the previous 6 leagues games, have a game in hand over Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, who are 2 points clear of second-place Arsenal. The Gunners will be in action against West Ham on Thursday. Meanwhile, Noni Madueke snatched a 2-1 win for Chelsea, scoring a late winner from the penalty spot against Crystal Palace to offer the Blues some cheer towards the end of a terrible 2023. Chelsea dominated the first half and created several openings despite missing suspended attacking pair Raheem Sterling and Cole Palmer, both booked in an error-strewn defeat by Wolves on Christmas Eve. Mauricio Pochettino's side, bogged down in mid-table, took an early lead through Mykhailo Mudryk, but Michael Olise packed the hosts back at Stamford Bridge. Madueke won and converted an 89th-minute penalty to claim victory for stuttering Chelsea after 3 losses in their previous 4 top-flight matches. Chelsea owner Todd Boehly has spent lavishly across the past 3 transfer windows, but Blues have suffered 19 league defeats in the calendar year. Defeat leaves Palace dangling 3 points above the relegation zone and coach Roy Hodgson under pressure. Carlos Alcaraz came back from a set down to beat world number 1 Novak Djokovic 4-6, 6-4, 6-4 in a hard-fought exhibition match in Riyadh on Wednesday. The match is a preview to January's Australian Open as the world top 2 players get into gear for the 2024 season. Alcaraz started strong by breaking the serve in the opening game. However, Djokovic answered back with 2 breaks of his own to take the opening set 6-4. The Spaniard then started the second set by breaking Djokovic once again. He then held his serve to secure the second set, 6-4 to force a deciding third set. The third set was an epic back and forth battle, with Alcaraz getting a break in the third game, only to see Djokovic level once again in the sixth. A string of errors by Djokovic allowed the world number 2 to take the upper hand back when he secured the deciding break to go up 5-4. He then served out the set to claim the match for 6-6-4, 6-4. Djokovic leads with a 3-2 all-time head-to-head record against Alcaraz in tour-level matchups. Former world number 1 and new mom, Naomi Osaka hit the practice court Wednesday ahead of the Brisbane International as she prepared for her much-anticipated return to tennis. Osaka will make her WTA comeback at the tournament, which begins Sunday at Pat Rafter Arena. Four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka makes her highly anticipated return in Brisbane, having not played since September 2022. The tournament itself is making a return of its own 4 years after it was last contested by men and women. Osaka pulled out of last year's Australian Open in Melbourne before later revealing she was pregnant. The US-based Japanese player and her American rapper boyfriend, Corday, became parents to daughter Shai in Los Angeles in July. Osaka has only played one game since the 2021 US Open in New York. She was leading Daria Gavrilova 1-love at the Pan Pacific Open in Tokyo in September 2021 before the Australian suffered a serious knee injury and had to retire in the match. That's it from us this evening. In our top story, government approves allocation for temporary embankment from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching.